Hi, I'm Cautex, and let's talk about mythic Dausagne water bottles and some of the tips and tricks that I figured out while doing this fight as a DPS warrior. Making sure the domination core ads die quickly is super important on this fight because you want to minimize the number of black puddles that spawn, so that influenced my build in a couple of ways. First and foremost, I did this fight as arms. The primary reason for that is that you will have sweeping strikes available for every single ad that spawns. I pre-cast sweeping strikes while the boss is casting the spell that summons the ad because the ads are typically only alive for 2/3 of the duration or less, and because bursting them down is important, it's better to just not spend a GCD that does no damage while they're alive. Now, I did do this fight as Night Fae in order to give me a blink for the halos, but I specifically chose to go Karain rather than Dreamweaver in order to give me first strike for the ads. Other than that, pretty much everything that I did build-wise was standard. I took the standard single-target build, but I also did collateral damage, though that ended up being mostly useless and provided no benefit over Warbreaker. Lastly, I ran Enduring Blow as my non-Unity legendary. You can deflect one of the 3 hits of the Staggering Barrage with Spell Reflect, which will also negate the pushback. While each hit does the same amount of damage, the last hit does more pushback and will typically push you out of melee range, so ideally you should Spell Reflect the 3rd hit. Now, because the damage comes slightly before the pushback, you should try to Spell Reflect immediately after taking the 2nd hit. In practice, though, this is a really small optimization, and if you're having issues timing the Spell Reflect, just deflect the 1st hit. One thing that you will see me do throughout this fight is Heroic Leap through the halos. The primary reason for this is to help ensure that I'm not too close to anyone as I pass through the ring. While I'm not able to completely confirm this, it appears that the 1-yard range also checks the Z-axis, meaning that as long as you're mid-leap, you can't get murked by other players. I did some pretty sketchy leaps while progressing on this boss, and I never got my neck snapped when leaping. With that said, obviously just because it seems to be like that doesn't necessarily mean that it actually is that way, so it is best to still try and ensure that you're not going to run into anyone when crossing the rings. My general strategy for dealing with the halos was to Heroic Leap the 1st ring and then Soul Shape the 2nd ring. With that said, if you're just in pure survival mode, which is not a bad idea on progression, Soul Shape does last long enough for you to individually blink through all 3 of the rings and have a little bit of time to spare. As for cooldown usage, because I'm Night Fae on this fight, that means that my Unity power is Nature's Fury, and that means that I want to use Ancient Aftershock when I know that the boss is going to be stationary for a period of time. While it may seem like saving them for all 3 shields is the obvious choice here, doing so would lose you one entire round of CDs. I personally use my CDs on pull, and then they are going to come up again when the first shield is almost over. I hold the 2nd usage until we position the boss for where we deal with the set of 2 halos. With this timing, Avatar should still be up for the 3rd domination core spawning. Once they come up for the 3rd time, that should be around 10 seconds before the 2nd shield, so I hold them for that. And then finally, I hold them for the 3rd shield because getting through that is the most vitally important thing, and after that it's basically GG, assuming that you can get through that shield. So that's what I was able to figure out during my guild's progression on Dausagne. If there's any tricks that you figured out that I didn't mention, then please tell me about them in the comments. If you want to watch this kill video in its entirety with my guild's comms, rather than my commentary, then check out the video in the description. Otherwise, as always, tell me why my opinions are dumb. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and subscribe for more.